Okay, so now we have moved on from grades and we are going to add a little bit more functionality. So say you're a teacher and you have a certain number of students and you want to calculate the average of their test scores. We're going to create a program that does that. Let's run it now. So we're going to do Ruby user input.rb. We'll go Jack. He got a 90, a 80, 96, and 86. Yes. Well yeah, we'll do yes. So Jack's average is a 90. So let's run that again. Jackie got a 90, a 99, and a 94. No. So let's do Jillian got a 80, 70, and 100. Yes. And then it takes the averages for those two. So, you can see how the application works. You enter the name for a student, then you enter 3 different test scores associated with that student, and then you are prompted to, then you're asked the question, are you done? And if you type in anything other than yes, it will bring you back through the loop, and you will have to input other student data. So let's actually go forth and build this guy. Let's start by clearing this out, and then go over to our text editor. And we are going to start by creating a class. Actually, let's start by saving our file. User input 2.rb, because I already have user input, since I already created this application. And okay, we'll move forward from here. So we're going to create a class, and we're going to call it input. And this class is going to be responsible for accepting our user input. And let's end that class. And then we are going to create a method, user input, and we are going to have our students and scores empty hash. This might look familiar from the last exercise. We're going to set our counter to 0, and then we are going to have our loop. So while counter is less than 100, we're making the assumption that there will be no more than 100 students. Puts enter a student name. By the way, that was my dog moving around in the back. She wanted to join us for this video. And then we're going to go at student name is equal to gets.chomp. Then we're going to ask for the test scores. So puts enter the first test score at score 1 is equal to gets.chomp. And then let's do that a couple more times. You can do this as many times as you like for as many test scores as you have. But for our sake, we're going to just do, we'll just do 3 again. Score 1, score 2, score 3. Save that. And then we're going to ask the question, puts, are you done entering student information? So we're going to set that equal to, we'll just call it question is equal to gets.chomp. Actually, we'll call it exit. Okay, so now we're gonna put all of our user input into the hash again. So we're gonna say at students and scores. We're gonna take our key, which should look familiar, student name, and then our values of score 1, score 2, and score 3. And then, since we have this question, if a user is done, it should probably do something. And our variable gives us a hint. We want it to exit the loop. So we can call that by writing break if exit loop is equal to yes. And then we are also going to increment our counter at the end. And then we are going to end our loop and end our method. Okay. So now we have our class of input. We have our method that accepts user input. Let's try to test this out. So let's say put actually, let's just create a new instance. We'll say testing is equal to input.new, and we do not have to pass it any parameters, do not have an initialize method. And we are going to then call puts testing dot user input. Okay. Now we're going to see if I made any typos. We're going to see if I'm calling this right. Let's go ahead and try this out. And what I do to get to this is Command Tab, for those who are curious. So let's run Ruby user input 2.rb. Student name Jamie. Jamie got a, she didn't do so hot. She got a 69. Then she got a, she had redemption. She studied harder for the next one. She got a 99. And then, you know, she continued down that path and got a 97. Are you done entering student information? Yes. Ah, shoot. Let's see. Undefined local variable or method for score 1. Let's see score 1. Gets.chomp, score 1, score 1. Oh, okay, right. These are instance variables. We have to call them that way. Okay. Let's try that again. Jamie, this time she's really chugging along. 90 and a 98. Okay, so our loop works. And now, well, we can keep that in there for now. Let's actually see what we're going to do next. So let's, next we're going to want to actually average these scores. So we have these scores, we have the hash that contains the students and their scores. So let's create that method. So when creating classes, you want your classes to do the least possible useful thing when designing your classes. So I think a lot of Ruby programmers would just put this averages method within this class, and it would be totally fine because there are no dependencies elsewhere on this class. But for the sake of, you know, getting used to you guys having multiple class applications and separating some class definitions, let's go ahead and create a new class. So Command N for a new file. Let's save that. We're going to call it averages2.rb. And let's go ahead and actually call this a class of calculator. Let's end the class, and then we're going to call this method average, and we're going to pass in a parameter, and we're going to say object.each is going to do something, become value, and then we're going to output the average, which is going to be value 0 plus value 1 plus value 2, and we are going to divide that by 3 to get our average. So then let's end our iterator, and let's end our method. So what this is doing is it is taking an object that we passed to it, and we're saying for each value, pass it through this block and put this equation out to the screen. And what this equation is doing is it's taking the value, which in this case we're going to take value at index 0, value at index 1, value at index 2, and divide it by 3 to get our average. And our value is going to be the placeholder for the grades that we entered for our students. So in order for us to actually be able to get that data over to averages, we are going to need the method that we talked about earlier, attribute accessor. And we really only need to give it students and scores, but if we want to grow this application later, then we may need to just call on any of these values. So, maybe we need student name, maybe we just need score 1, 2, or 3. So let's put them all up here. This is student name, score, let's just do an order. Score 1, score 2, score 3. And then the one that we're going to be using, students and scores. Okay, am I missing anything? Now let's just go ahead and try it out. So we have our test case, and now that we have our instance of input called testing, which contains our students and scores hash, let's go ahead and try to pass that over to averages. You guys have seen this before, but let's do it again. So we are going to say testing calculator is equal to calculator dot new, and we are then going to call on the method. So we're going to say testing calculator dot average, average or averages, average, and then we're going to pass it in the parameter of testing. But we also really just want this hash, so let's just call in students and scores since that method is given to us. Oh, and I actually realized I forgot something. I am going to need to actually have access to this averages file. So let's use require relative. And pass it averages. It would have worked with single quotes. I'm in the habit of using double quotes. Whoa, okay. .rb. I want to put the file extension there. Okay, let's test it out. Close out, and let's run ruby user input 2.rb. Jamie's back again, and she got a 100, a 60, and a 90. Yes. Okay. Foreign block averages, undefined method. Okay, let's see what we got. Testing calculator, average testing students and scores. Oh, okay. I see what we did wrong. At least one of the issues. Let's call this 2i. 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 Because we can't average a string, but we can. Well, we can't perform, math functions on a string, but we can do that on our fixed numbers, our integers. So we're going to convert the string of score 1 to an integer, and now let's test that back again. 100, a 90, and an 80. And it works. So again, go ahead and continue to run through this exercise. Make sure it makes sense to you. Try to build it from scratch yourself, and maybe even try to add some extra functionality. Put a fourth test score in here, include a fourth test score, change up your calculation. Think of different things that a teacher might need to do with her students' scores. And try to expand this application a little bit. That'll be a great way to practice your newly acquired Ruby skills. I'm going to walk through one more exercise in the next video, and I'll see you guys there.